Welcome to the Hell is Chrome podcast and live stream. I'm your host, Andrew Dyer. What's up? Coming at you another week. And, well, we have some sad news this week on the show. After many years of talking about soccer and supporting soccer, this will be the final episode of the Hell is Chrome podcast, formerly known as, something about 109. And before that, it was the Loyal Locals podcast. But we've decided to end the show, being as though neither John nor I are going to support SDFC. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense doing a podcast about SDFC supporters. So that doesn't mean we're not going to get you up to speed today with everything going on. And we'll get there. So without further ado, let me bring on president of the supporter union, producer of the show, co-host, John Cross. Hold on. Let John Bond go a little bit. There we go. All right, John. What's going on, man?
Thank you for the introduction, although I have to say I'm probably president in name only at the moment right now. A lot of other people have stepped up and are moving forward with things as I'm winding down my activities. So I'm going to do the best I can to answer the questions you have tonight regarding recognition and tickets and the elections. I guess are the three big things that are coming up, and probably maybe mention some things towards the end about some of the stuff that's coming up in December that people who are interested in following SDFC or being part of the supporters union will probably be interested in some big things happening in December.
All right. So the subject that's dominated our conversations over the last several months is the struggle, the challenge of the Independent Supporter Union, formerly known as La Raza, but banished from using that name by the club, trying to get recognition from the club. Now, the whole reason to ditch the name was to be recognized. So, any news on that front?
Well, I don't know if there has been anything announced publicly or not, but since they have publicly announced the actual season ticket sales, and that was contingent upon recognition, I think we can safely say that the union has been recognized officially by the club. Otherwise, there wouldn't be an announcement for ticket sales. But I don't know that there's been an official announcment along those lines.
Once again, breaking news on the Hell is Grown podcast. You heard it here maybe first. Union recognized. A lot of work went into that, John. So as much as painful as it was, I think you can pat yourself on the back a little bit for your stewardship in getting to that point. So good job.
Thank you. I do have to give a lot of credit to the people who did step up after I was stepping down to help see this over the line, because even though I might be president right now, I was not active in the last few weeks of doing the final whatever hoops had to be jumped through to actually finish off this recognition process. But with the announcement that the club made yesterday for us on Monday, on the 18th, announcing the season ticket packages and the prices and when they're going on sale, with all the attached videos and promotions and everything else that they have out there, there's been a lot of interest and a lot of new signups. I would think when I checked earlier today, the unaffiliated group is, if you look at all the SGs and the numbers, the unaffiliated group is the second largest group at the moment in the union.
Well, that's good to hear. I imagine those numbers will continue to trend upward the closer we get to those tickets going on sale. Pricing $18. So sold our soul for $18. It happened, right? I mean, it was always going to happen, wasn't it?
Um, well, it was a pitch, and you know this when you were involved. I mean, we made this pitch back, I don't know, late January, early February, somewhere around there for the $18 ticket price. Um, it wasn't until I would say early October, maybe late September, somewhere around there, that there was confirmation about the $18 ticket price, but there were, I'll phrase it as more hoops to jump through before it actually became official. And then we know we had already talked about in the podcast the season ticket for supporters were supposed to go on sale in November, and then now we know with the announcement yesterday that they will start on December 3rd. So yeah, $18 tickets, which is a good price relative to the rest of the ticketed prices of seats
Mm-hmm.
in the rest of the stadium there in
Sure.
Snapdragon. It is a pretty competitive price around for MLS matches for a supporter group. The only catch, well, I guess there's two. I mean, one is something we fought, I know I did, fought hard for, but we fought hard for as a union that you have to be a member of the union in order to get the season ticket package. So anybody who's interested in those $18 tickets, you do need to sign up with the union and become a member of the union. It's $15 a year for an adult, $5 for a child. And anybody who has a season ticket package must be a member of the union. Those season ticket packages will not be sold to the general public. So if you want those $18 season tickets, and they're only going on sale for 18 days, so December 3rd through, what is it, the 20th? So if you want those $18 tickets, you got to be a member of the union and you have to buy them in that window. And the other thing is it is a 2-year commitment for those tickets. So you have to commit to 2 years.
Hmm. All right. Well, I think that's pretty reasonable, all things considered. Uh, I know that the club, for all of its faults, of which there are many, I think it's actually pretty reasonable to ask a little bit of these ticket holders because of what's expected in the supporter section. They definitely want that commitment, and I think the 2-year, as long as you don't got to pay for the all 2 years up front.
No, you do not.
So I think that's actually pretty reasonable. And, it's nice to report some good news about something the club did for once on the show. So that's really exciting for people who, want to be in that supporter section. Now, what do we know about the supporter section as far as, tifos, capo stands, songs? Where do the supporter groups sit? How does that all shake out?
Yeah, there have been conversations with the club and internally within the union about capo stands and the pulley system, and I don't know what stage all of that is in because, again, I have been out of the loop on the conversations for the last few weeks. But they are going on for, I don't know, 9 months. People have been working on chants and doing drum circles and practicing. But now it's getting to the time where people can, you can see it's around the corner. The MLS regular season has ended. They're in playoffs right now. So I think I saw something recently. I haven't double checked it, but that you can find SDFC now if you have Apple TV, if you have the MLS package. I think you can find a space for SDFC now. I believe I saw that. And if not, that'll be up very soon. And people who are getting excited for the season, if you do the season ticket package for all season ticket members, you get free subscription to the MLS Pass on Apple TV. I think I'm trying to think of some of the other questions people. Oh, I remember one, so I want to make sure I say that. I know some people within the Discord were asking about a child discount, and I do not believe there's any kind of discount. It's just it's a ticket. It doesn't matter what age you are for the ticket. If you're holding a ticket, it's the same price. It will be for, I think, 21. I'm looking through my notes
Brian,
here.
you got the $18
Games.
ticket. Like, come on. Like, what are you doing here? Like,
Yeah,
you got the $18.
there's 17 there's 17 home matches, but I think there's 4 other matches factored in. One will be, I'm sure, because they made the commitment with Xolos. We've already seen that announcement. So I imagine one of those will be Xolos. I don't know if those are going to be Leagues Cup or Open Cup or playoff matches, or if the club's just going to kind of wait and see how they want to allocate those other ones.
You might
But
have to wait and see what the field is like also before
yeah, so
they.
your total cost will be $378 for season ticket package per person.
Now that's pretty good. I think that's about the. I don't think season tickets for San Diego Loyal were much less than that
Not too much
in the
less. Yeah,
supporter
I think
section. Yeah,
that's a pretty good
yeah.
price right there.
Now parking is a little bit more, but you don't have to park at Snapdragon. In fact, I would not
Take the
recommend it.
trolley.
So it's so funny following the club on social media. Lately, they've been hyping up their new directions, the new signs that they're going to have in the parking lot, and a new
Right.
traffic egress pattern that somebody who I'm sure is very smart sat down with a pen and paper and their little traffic engineer computer program animation and figured out a better way to leave the parking lot, which I can't imagine is that much better than the way you leave right now. What a nightmare. I don't think that, it's like fluid dynamics, right? Fluid dynamics is the same thing that governs like water pressure moving through pipes and stuff, is the same thing that governs the flow of traffic. So you think of traffic like liquid and the roads like arteries. Like when there's more liquid trying to go through a narrow space, it backs up, right? So like you cannot change the fundamental physics of ingress and egress of that parking lot. You can't throw the laws of physics out the window, right? Like it will be a backup. You will be stuck there waiting. It might be a little bit better. It might be a little more organized. Than it is annoying when people, go around and get in front of you. So maybe there's going to be some more organization there. But anyway, this is a very long-winded way of me saying take the trolley.
Yeah, definitely take the trolley. I don't know where the tailgate space is going to end up being, although one of the spots that has been talked about more recently, because there have been others, so I don't know where it's eventually going to land, but one of the spots I have been talking about more recently is pretty close to the trolley station. So if that ends up being the spot for supporters, that will be really nice if you do take the trolley, because you hop off, get right off on the station, you're practically right there in the tailgate area. So that would really be beneficial to a lot of people. And I know there's some talk about trying to do post-match kind of tailgating as well, just to, you can only get so many trains in and out of the trolley station.
You want to get one more beer in before you hit the road.
Yeah.
Like you.
But have a place for people to hang out, and again, close to the trolley stop there, so you can just hop on when you're ready to head out. So hopefully that will help if you get a lot of people taking the trolley. But I agree with you in terms of ingress and egress. I just, looking at the layout of what they have, I just don't see how you make that significantly better.
There's three, right? There's the road in the corner, there's the road in the other corner, and then there's the main one, right? Like they're not building another road. Like it's yeah. Well, speaking of getting excited for the season, I don't know if you've seen some of our friends in Dago Boys have permanently marked themselves. These are the first SDFC crest tattoos that I've seen. We do have our first SDFC badge shield logos on a human body. I don't know that these are the first ones, but they're the first ones that I've seen.
I have not seen those yet, so I'll have to look. But you said
They're
from
they're very
Digables?
shiny. They're brand new.
Yeah.
It's the crest. So big ups to those dudes. I hope it works out for you. But that's kind of part of like that is a big part of supporter culture. What we're talking about, right? Like having the crest over your heart and like the kind of cultural significance that these hometown clubs play with people, and it's not the only sport where people get logos tattooed on themselves by far, but it is very common for supporters to have those tattoos. So these are the first ones, first of many, I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm sure there'll be a lot more, and probably see those all around the supporter section. And hopefully with the
I do
announcement
wish
and the ticket
I do wish the
sales.
crust was a little better. I do wish it wasn't. And I mean, you get what you get, and that's what we got. So you got to go with it. But man, what could have been?
Yeah, I got no comments on the crest and
What
so
can we say
forth.
that hasn't been said a million times before, and isn't
Yeah.
constantly said still every time the club posts anything?
Yes, I do see that quite a bit.
So I have not seen the club get on Blue Sky yet, but there is a I
Well, they're
guess what you
trying to get on Blue Sky.
well, somebody got on Blue Sky and said they were the
Yeah,
club,
somebody did. Yeah.
and said put out a statement, very funny, that said when we said join the union, because they meaning join the union like the supporter union. The statement says we were not endorsing labor unions. It's funny. I mean, I don't know who did that. It was not me, but our friend Cesar Hernandez posted earlier today that he checked with the club and could confirm that this was not sanctioned official SDFC social media account. So if you see SDFC on Blue Sky, that ain't them.
Yeah, I have a problem with that kind of stuff. The doing the um being the imposter, I guess. Parody I'm fine with, if and you say it's a parody
Yeah,
account so people know, but the taking over something, I don't care who it is or what it is, but to then try to pass it off like you are the actual business or entity is
yeah.
I have a big problem with that. If you want to do jokes and parody and do something similar, do it,
You
great.
gotta give
But
Elon Musk
but
$8 and you
yeah,
get a blue check mark, and you can do it
but
there.
make sure make sure it's obvious. I just think that's I just on an ethical standpoint, I really have a
Yeah,
problem with
and it's
someone.
actually something that's happening on Blue Sky. There is an issue with impersonations as the social network has grown by about 1 million users a day.
Yes.
It's happening a lot. But what I wanted to mention was, and let me pull it up. There was another soccer club, uh, SV Werder Bremen.
Oh
Do you
yeah.
know who they are?
Bremen, who left Twitter completely and encouraged all their
Yeah,
users
they
and
put out a
stuff to go.
statement. Yeah,
Put out quite
well,
the statement there. Yeah.
yeah, I think it's well. The one I'm seeing is in German. I know I read one that was in English at some point, but the one I'm
Yeah, I
looking
saw
at
something
right
from
now,
Derek Ray, the commentator, does a lot of the Bundesliga matches, and he had put something. I don't know if it was his translation that I saw, but that was the quite strongly worded statement from one of the teams in Germany. That said a lot. But yes, there's been a seismic shift over to Blue Sky since the election.
yeah, Where did you saw he posted it? Did you see where he posted it?
I think I saw it in Blue Sky actually, but I think he had copied it over, from Twitter. I don't have my stuff up right now,
So are
but I
you
remember.
on Blue
And if
Sky
you,
then, John? I know you weren't a
uh,
Twitter guy.
I was on Twitter, but I don't have one for myself. I have one for soccer shorts. And
Uh,
since a little before the election, as I was starting to think through, as I knew I was winding down my time with being president and being involved with the union, I was looking ahead to what I could spend my time on moving forward. And I thought it's probably a good time to revive soccer shorts. So I made sure I got my space set up over there in Blue Sky, and probably we'll move forward over there. As soon as I figure out exactly what and how I'm doing. So probably in 2025, I'll do
mhm.
that. It'll be nice for me because it'll keep me focused. Again, my post-COVID self can't do the things my pre-COVID self could do. So that's
So
nice
yeah,
because it's my own schedule. I can set my own schedule. I can do it. If I need a day off, I can take a day off, and I can do editing on my own when I feel up to it. So I think that's probably where I'm going to pivot to put a bunch of my energy.
so I guess FC St. Pauli might have been the first club to stop using the everything website x.com. Uh, they had said something earlier or 5 days ago, according to this. Uh, they won't be using the hate amplifier platform anymore. English account will be moving to Blue Sky, as will their German one. So Werder Bremen's statement, it's quite something. I'll just read it here. SV Werder Bremen's executive board have decided to end the club's presence on the social media platform X, formerly Twitter. Under the guise of freedom of expression, hate speech, hatred towards minorities, right-wing extremist posts, and conspiracy theories have been allowed to spread on X at an incredible pace. With the recent radicalization of the platform, the line's been crossed for the club. The Green Whites are therefore leaving X effective immediately and hope that our more than 600,000 followers will follow the club on Blue Sky in the future. So, unequivocating there.
Yeah.
I think that you're going to see, I don't know if big brands are going to just abandon the platform, even if it is full of Nazis and trolls. There are still a lot of people on the everything website, x.com. So, but I think you'll see more opening accounts over on Blue Sky. I think there's about 20, I think they broke 20 million users today. This is, I am also on Blue Sky. You can follow me on Blue Sky. I was going to say the whole reason that I brought this up was that I did something major for me this week. I found a script online, like an HTML script, and I went into my Twitter profile and I deleted all 12,000 plus of my tweets.
Wow.
All of my tweets are gone from the platform. I did this before the terms of service changed on November 15th. Elon wants to train his AI on your creative work, your intellectual property, which you are giving to him to extract more money out of the platform and its users. So I did not want all of my brilliant tweets because all 12,000, let me tell you, were brilliant. So they're all gone. I don't even have a pinned tweet up right now. If you go to my account, there are just no tweets. But there is a thing in my bio that says to follow me on Blue Sky. And my handle has been my Blue Sky handle for about a year now or more. So if you're looking to keep up with me, that's where I will be posting, is on Blue Sky. I think right now, if you are looking to cultivate an audience, grow an audience with the influx of users on Blue Sky, it is easier than it will ever be to get followers. People are looking for people to follow because they're brand new. So the bar the bar is low. The bar is low to follow. There's a lot of follow lists. The blocking tools over there are incredible. So yeah, I would recommend if you have any moral objection to the content on Twitter or the owner of the website, x.com, the everything website, come on over to Blue Sky. It is better than Threads by far. And I don't even need to mention Facebook because we all know that place is a garbage fire. Anyway, I know, let me pivot a little bit back to SDFC, who, again, are not on Blue Sky yet, but probably will be soon. There's no verification over there, right? So this is the same problem that Twitter had, 12 years ago when they unveiled their blue check marks, was impersonation and verification. So I don't know if Blue Sky is going to have a solution for that. Blue Sky is a protocol-based platform. It is not a walled garden like these other social networks. It is a protocol. So verification might work differently over there. But anyway, we hit the tickets. We hit the recognition. What else do we need to hit as far as supporter business?
Well, there's a whole bunch of events that are happening between now and the 18th of December, and especially some big things in those couple weeks of December. The Chrome Ball Tour is going to be wrapping up. There's the different drafts that MLS has, the expansion draft with the new team, and then the what do they call it? The super draft. And then the different events that the club is doing in and around those events. I don't know when things are happening, but we're going to be having, I'm sure, more player announcements. I've heard rumors that there might be another DP somewhere along the way. Obviously, they have kits, right, that they're going to have to release at some point. So I think once we hit into December and then obviously into January and getting close to February, I would imagine if, with the holiday season coming up, if it was me running the business, I'd want to release my kits before Christmas, right? So that people have the chance to get them and gift them and have them out there, and not wait till January or something like that. But I have no idea when any of that is going to happen. But all those things we know will happen at some point, right? And we're getting closer and closer to the start of the season. There's conversations happening within the union about tifos and drum circles, and you kind of asked, where's everybody going to sit? I mean, all these conversations are starting to happen, and they're especially happening in the Discord area.
Merch? Is there union merch yet?
So the I know that there is. It's not going to happen for a while. It won't happen before the season starts. But I know,
I'm sorry. Did you say that there won't be union merch before the season starts?
Well, for the one thing I was going to talk about, I was contacted by Van Shoes to do a special shoe for the union. So there's conversations with that happening in the background, but that's going to be a bit of a process. So there's no way that happens before the start of the season. But those are some things that are in talks, and frankly, that couldn't have been done if we weren't set up as a legal corporation. There's still a couple of things that need to be done on the union side in order to make that happen. But those are some conversations that are going on. I would imagine now that we're getting closer to the start, that there is going to be, with the tifos, there's going to be some shirts, there's going to be some other things, merch ideas coming up. Those are all things that are being talked about. But you need people. Like as we've said this the whole time, we need people to step up and help out. And this is really the time. If you're going to get in there and you're going to buy the tickets, you should make sure you're on the Chant app. That you do that when you sign up. It gives you the link to get on the Chant app. make sure you're in the member Discord. And elections are just around the corner. They're just a couple weeks away. We're actually in the nomination process right now. So between now and November 30th, you can put your name in to be on the board. And
are we going to do like a January 6th thing when you're not reelected? We're going to stop the steal. I'm ready. I'm ready with my my horned furry hat.
Yeah, you're ready.
Yes. I mean, I don't know if you heard, but storming the Capitol doesn't matter. If you try to storm the Capitol, if you try to do a coup, doesn't matter. The voters will forgive you. They don't care about it. In fact, you might even get reelected a few years later.
Well, I think the bigger problem on the union side is not preventing people from staying. It's getting people to show up and stay. It's maybe dragging them along and keeping them. So yeah, there's 15 seats open on the board right now. I think the last I checked earlier today, there are 7 people so far who have put their name in for a board position. They're all from one SG. So we don't have any unaffiliated, and we don't have anyone from 6 of the SGs who've put their name in yet to be.
May I ask which SG all 7 of these people are from?
Riptides. They're the only group that has put forward and put people's name out there. So the other SGs, I'm hoping, since they just opened up on last Friday, but still, by the time this podcast came about on Tuesday, I really thought there would be some more people, at least 1 or 2 from some other SGs, but right now we have 7, and they're all from Riptides right now to be on the board for the union.
I'm surprised for whatever audience exists for this show that people wouldn't be more excited to be part of the union the way we've talked about it the last month or so. It's quite shocking that maybe people were not lining up to throw their name in the ring.
Well, I think even based on what has happened in the last 24 hours, there have been people who SDFC and the union and everything else has just been totally off their radar. I mean, they haven't even thought about it. They're not even aware of what's going on, and they wanted to wait till the tickets were available, and then they would pay attention again. And that's probably what we're seeing a lot of. We're seeing a huge increase in people signing up in the last 24 hours. And word getting around now that, the tickets are available. So now people are starting to pay attention again.
All right. Well, as far as, this is the last show. I do want to take a minute to acknowledge the storied history of the Hell is Chrome podcast, which predates my involvement by a few years. This show, how did this show start, John?
Oh my goodness. Some iteration of the show started way back in 2020 with Jerry Jimenez, who now works for SDFC, Steve Brokoff, and Drew Steck. They were 3 of the 4 founding members of the Locals. And it was started right after we went on pandemic. Like, we had that one home match at Torero Stadium for the SD Loyal, and then the pandemic struck.
I gotta say,
that
John,
was a way to just
I hate to
keep people together.
I hate to correct you on something, but I know for a fact that the Loyal Locals podcast existed before the very first exhibition match against that Panamanian team, because that is when I met Jerry Jimenez in person. And the way I broke the ice with Jerry, I was like, "Oh, you're Jerry from the podcast, right?" And he's like, "Yes." So I had already listened to at least one Loyal Locals podcast episode at the time of that match. So just before the pandemic is when I think it began. And then during the pandemic is when it got real wild with the lounge and all of that stuff.
Right. Yeah, it was there were some 3-hour episodes, lots of drinking on the show. It was it was a way for people when we were all staying home and in quarantine, it was a way for people to kind of hang out together and socialize and talk soccer since, we had this excitement about a new team in San Diego and a new supporter group. Um,
A
and then it just
community-based club.
right, and it just kind of stopped. So it existed through there. Uh, in that second season of SD Oil is when I got involved and helped Drew, and we had a whole like rotating series of hosts come through. Um, and then I don't know, I started helping more and more, and even being on the podcast. And then with helping out, and Drew was helping. When Drew left to Wisconsin, gosh, 2 years ago now, I guess, a little more than 2 years. Then I took over completely, and I don't know if you were involved before that, before he left for Wisconsin, but you came on, and then we kind of did the podcast together really for the last couple of years. And then it became the Locals podcast, and it became the 109 podcast, and
The
then it became the Hellas
109th
Chrome
minute.
podcast.
The
109th minute, thank you.
the AI generated name. The only
Right.
good thing AI has ever done was name that podcast, and it wasn't even that good of a thing.
There were some crazy names that came up with that list. Uh, but yeah, it's been this podcast has been going since uh, maybe late 2019, but definitely very, very early 2020. Um, so we're talking
5-year run.
5 years,
That's longer than
5-year
most
run.
podcasts on your preferred podcast app.
Yeah, yeah, it is. And this is it.
All right. Well, let me ask you this as the outgoing union president.
Yeah.
When this show started 5 years ago, I think the notion of soccer support in San Diego was a little confused, right? I mean, there was the American Outlaws, but the American Outlaws, they're not really a supporter. I mean, they are, but they're not really a supporter group, right? Like, they don't have the same kind of, because there's only so many matches and they're only getting together
Right. It's
so
not
often.
like for a club. Right.
Right. Now you go over 5 years, and where we are now, we are on the threshold of a new era of supporter groups in San Diego, with the major league team. From where you started documenting the formation of the Locals and the genesis of organized supporter groups, local soccer organized supporter groups, to where we are now with a pretty sophisticated nonprofit setup, a lot of fingers in the pie.
Right.
The finger. I'm sorry for that visual, by the way, but what is your assessment on the state of soccer support and supporter culture in San Diego?
Well, I don't think in the grand scheme of things much has changed. I think we have a strong base of soccer supporters in San Diego. Now they may support a variety of different things. Like, we're going to see people who are going to support this Major League Soccer team that won't support the Wave and didn't support SD Oil. And maybe they support a European team or a Mexican team or a South American team, Central American team, something. And maybe they support somewhere else. But we've had a rich history of soccer and soccer support in our community in San Diego. There's lots of pickup games. We've done stuff, and we know with Bridge Barcata and a bunch of street soccer that has really developed. I'd say that's probably the biggest thing that has changed and developed over the last 5 years. But in terms of supporter culture, now that we have a Major League Soccer team in town, I think there's an evolution. It changes. The loyal attracted a certain group of people, and I think it's a different makeup than what you have, because I was heavily involved with that, and it's a different makeup of what you have involved with the Major League Soccer team. So you get there's some people who wouldn't be bothered to attend a lower league match. It's not high enough level. It's not professional
Clout
enough.
clout chasers.
Could be, if you want to phrase it that way. But you're going to get a different demographic in this supporter section. No one should have ever tried to duplicate what we both knew in 109, because that was a completely different team. It was a different environment, a different group of people. This is going to be much larger. It's not necessarily going to be better or worse, but it's going to be different. It's going to be a different makeup with different groups of people. And it's going to be very interesting, I think, to see how the support for SDFC plays out over the next 2 to 3 years. There's going to be huge interest, obviously, when it starts. And we'll see how that community gets built, and how well that soccer community of supporters stays together, and how well they connect with the broader San Diego community and San Diego soccer community, and see if that is lasting. I hope it does. I hope they really represent San Diego well. That's what I have my fingers crossed for. But when you move up to a higher level, and you attract more people, and you get some people who are just there, as you said, the cloud chasers, you get a different mix of people, and there's going to be some different challenges to really hold true to some of the supporter ethos.
Oh, that's a very diplomatic way to put that. Let me check in with you on this, because so we talked about the locals, kind of the first large local supporter group organized that I'm really aware of, for a local club at least. And, all the experience that came with the locals in Torero Stadium, and running a large-ish group of people. It's my impression from my involvement with the union that there is not a lot of locals' input or even influence on the union right now. Have the numbers improved? Are people from the locals joining the union? Is locals well represented?
I would say, for the locals specifically, since we both have been involved with the locals, the representation has been poor, frankly, from the locals. Now, there's a lot of people within the locals, because of how MLS came in, and then what happened to the SD Loyal, who have very strong feelings against SDFC. So I think on the one hand, it's not terribly surprising that it's not like everybody from the locals just rushed over to support SDFC. So there have been some, and I think their numbers right now probably are in the 50s, somewhere in their range, for the number of locals who have signed up, and quite a few of those have been in the last few weeks. There's been a dozen or so who have been very active, but I do think if more people would have been active, things happen based on the people who show up. And there were lots of people who showed up to help build this union. The locals were not strong in that. And I think more voices from the locals would have created a different atmosphere and community, and we'd have different discussions in some of our conversations within the union. But, it's based on who shows up, and those are the people who give the input, and those are the decisions that get made.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense. Okay, well, we've been going for about 45 minutes. I think we hit everything we had to hit. This is it. We're signing off. Is there anything that you want to say before we get out of here?
Yeah, two things. One, I'll be starting out my soccer shorts, so look for that. I'll be on Blue Sky, probably primarily. But I will be reaching out to some people through various channels and start probably re publishing some of the things I've done before to get ready for some of the new stories that I'm going to be working on here. So I'm trying to get those, starting to get the production going here over the next couple of months. So that's the first thing. I want to say that's probably where I'm going to end up, maybe some podcasts around that. The second thing, I want to thank you, Andrew, very much for being the co-host and really our dedicated primary host for the last couple years, because it was something that this show had missed for the longest time when we had the original group, Drew, Steve, and Jerry. And then once that kind of changed, we went through a carousel, as we said, of hosts and people helping out. And then you stepped up, and it really helped lend some consistency to the show, especially as the loyal wound down. And we just tried to keep this going and tried to pivot and keep informing and educating people in terms of what's going on with the union. But as we both have said, since we're not moving forward with the union SDFC, it just doesn't make much sense to keep doing the show. But I want to thank you for everything, that all the time you've given, and really being, for me as a producer, the consistent person could rely on to do the show. So thank you very much, and hopefully we can find time to do something in the future together.
Oh yeah, that's very nice of you to say. Thanks, John. It's really I should be thanking you, because all I do is show up. Like it's the hardest thing to get people to show up, but then like it's also the easiest thing to just show up, right? Like you do the stream, you make sure the podcast gets posted, you do everything behind the scenes, you prep, you do the document to prep the show. Like there's a reason I'm always asking you what's going on, because I don't know, right? So like really I'm just showing up, and you have done so much work over the years, and I think that for the community that we're speaking to, like there's really no one else is purposely serving this community. Now I will say, obviously, Two Balls, San Diego football, like they're the next closest thing, but they're definitely much more general interest, general broad X's and O's soccer. Now they'll have SG leaders on their show and stuff like that, but as far as like week to week talking to supporters and letting them know what's going on, like I'm sure at times it was a smaller audience, but being part of that audience before I was a host, I really appreciated having the show to listen to every week, so I knew what was going on with the locals when we had matches, when we had the bus trips and stuff like that.
Right.
It was really valuable, and I was really glad to have it, because I'm a podcast person. I listen to podcasts, and that's what I listen to when I'm getting ready for work every morning, and when I'm in the car. I listen to podcasts constantly. So it was a big help for me as a member of the audience, and then to then be put in the role as the host. Like I know what it meant to me whenever I was just listening. So I hope that it's been helpful and informative to the audience out there. So for anybody who is listening or has listened over the years, and whether you've tuned into the live streams or just listened to it on your preferred podcasting app, thank you so much for your time and for letting us be part of your day. People come up to me, and I don't know who they are, but they kind of know who I am, and it's never not weird, but it's also never not totally welcome. Like I'm really happy for the people that I've met, and totally surprised when somebody tells me like, oh yeah, I've listened, like, oh wow. And so Thank you to everybody, to all of you out there. And I hope that you can, if you are moving on to support SDFC, don't let, my negative experience and John's negative experience poison your experience, because, the stuff that we talk about is very kind of in the weeds, like interpersonal politics, the little power struggles, like, do we have this ethos or that ethos? Like, I really do think that once the games start being played, that kind of stuff is really going to fade into the background. The only reason it seems so important is because it's all we've got to talk about right now. So if you do go on to support this club, like, don't let us be the thing that makes you decide not to, right? Like, we have our own, histories with this stuff and in the groups, and it's, being so close to it, it seems so big, but like, I think for most people, none of what we've talked about is a good reason to not go and enjoy something that you actually enjoy. So I do hope that you give the team a chance. If you haven't heard, they're trying to sign Kevin De Bruyne. That's one of the rumors. De Bruyne is going to come. So, I just remember at the Chucky event, that annoying fucking DJ kept doing the 7 Nation Army chant, "Oh, Chucky Lozano." Now that is a Kevin De Bruyne chant, right? Like, people do sing that to Kevin De Bruyne in Manchester. But, oh my gosh, that DJ at that event. Okay, don't let all of these negative experiences taint your experience. The club is going to start playing next year. It's going to be a full energetic section. And if you are a part of it, please do your best to represent the city and the community as positively as you can and as passionately as you can. And thank you so much for the last few years. And thank you, John, again.
Yeah, thank you. Well said, Andrew. All right. Good night, everyone.
All right. Bye.